So kicking things off will be the 80s, the birthplace of WWF. The golden era of WWE, often called the Hulkamania era, spanned from the early 80s all the way to the early 90s, marking a transformative period for professional wrestling. This era began when Vince McMahon took over the World Wrestling Federation from his father Vince McMahon Sr. in 1982, and McMahon envisioned expanding WWF's reach beyond the traditional regional wrestling circuits into a national and global phenomenon. This expansion was fueled by a strategic television deal, innovative marketing, and the introduction of pay-per-view events. And at the forefront of this revolution was Hulk Hogan, whose larger-than-life persona and real American character became synonymous within WWF.
Hogan had been a star in other promotions, namely the AWA based in Minneapolis. But after gaining mainstream popularity from his role in the movie Rocky III, Hogan made his way to WWE, and McMahon knew he had struck gold.
And Hogan's appeal extended beyond the wrestling ring, making him a pop cultural icon of the 1980s. You simply couldn't get away from all the marketing around him. From him opening restaurants, movies, and doing talk shows, it's fair to say the whole world were Hulkamaniacs. But other notable superstars during this time included Macho Man Randy Savage, known for his flamboyant style and intense promo, made him an easy number 2 in the company.
Hulk Hogan, yeah. You say you don't know where the Macho Man is coming from? You're right. You don't know anything about the Macho Man, Randy Savage, and where I'm coming from.
And who can forget Andre the Giant, whose sheer size and presence captivated audiences? These wrestlers, along with the others like Rowdy Piper, Ultimate Warrior, and Jake the Snake Roberts, helped define the era with memorable characters and storylines. But characters alone wouldn't have been enough, because the golden era success can be attributed to several key factors. Vince McMahon's aggressive expansion strategy involved acquiring the top talent from rival promotions and securing a national television slot, most notably with MTV's Rock and Wrestling Connection. This partnership helped attract a younger audience and integrated wrestling into the mainstream culture. Additionally, McMahon's focus on spectacle and entertainment rather than traditional wrestling matches broadened the appeal of the WWF. So the introduction of WrestleMania in 1985 was a pivotal moment, establishing an annual flagship event that combined wrestling with celebrity appearances and high production values. Proved to be a formula for success, as the event drew nearly 20,000 fans and 1 million viewers at home, which was unheard of at the time. Besides that, the match between Hulk Hogan and Andre the Giant at WrestleMania 3 in 1987, where Hogan famously body slammed the 520-pound giant, became an iconic moment in wrestling history, as it seems nothing could stop Hulk Hogan when the crowd got behind him. What also helped this period was the formation of iconic tag teams and rivalries, such as the feud between the Mega Powers with Miss Elizabeth. It meant that audiences were emotionally invested, as it introduced long-term storytelling into the mix. Additionally, the 1980s also saw the rise of Saturday Night Main Event, a late-night TV show that brought wrestling to a broader audience. And as WWF expanded, we were slowly introduced into more and different types of pay-per-view, now known as the Big Four. This era was the birthplace of these shows. So in 1998 is when audiences got their first glimpse of the Royal Rumble event, when initially it was more of an exhibition match and there was no reward for fighting the champion at Mania. And the reception from the fans was positive, as 30 men entered the ring every 2 minutes was exciting to see. But 1998 also happened to be the year that SummerSlam was introduced, while Survivor Series aired 1 year earlier in 1987. So the golden era laid the foundation for WWF's evolution into a global entertainment powerhouse. It introduced wrestling to a mainstream audience and created a template for the integration of sports and entertainment that continues to influence the industry today and cemented its place in pop culture. However, things were going to dramatically change, as an unforeseen scandal will shake the wrestling world to its core. The new generation of WWF, spanning from 1993 to 1997, marked a transitional period for the company, as it sought to redefine itself amidst various challenges, including the steroid scandal and the rising competition from World Championship Wrestling. This era saw a shift from the larger-than-life, juiced-up superstars of the golden era to the new breed of younger, more athletic performers aiming to appeal to a changing audience. But a big contributor to this was the steroid scandal, which came to a head in 1993, impacted several superstars including Hulk Hogan, who testified against WWF. This led to a federal investigation into WWF's practices within the workplace.
Ever questioning what they see when they turn on television or go to a live event.
Vince McMahon, World Wrestling Federation boss, calling for drug tests in the WWF. He's getting tough on steroid use after Dr. George Sahorian was convicted of selling steroids to several WWF stars.
Additionally, Vince McMahon himself faced legal battles, which ultimately resulted in his acquittal, but the scandal tarnished the company's image and forced a shift from the heavily muscular physique that had previously dominated the roster. In response to these challenges, WWF began to promote a new generation of talent. Bret the Hitman Hart emerged as a central figure, known for his technical wrestling skills and in-ring storytelling. Hart's feud with wrestlers like Shawn Michaels and Owen Hart provided some of the era's most memorable matches. And on the other hand, Shawn Michaels was a rising star himself, separating from his tag team, the Rockers, in a now infamous barbershop backstage segment. His high-flying style, good looks, charismatic personality made his rise to prominence inevitable. Earning the nickname the Heartbreak Kid, his rivalry with Bret Hart culminating in an iconic Iron Man match at WrestleMania 12 is a standout moment of this era. And other notable stars included Razor Ramon, whose ladder match with Michaels at WrestleMania 10 set a new standard for athleticism and match creativity. And Diesel also became a prominent figure, holding the WWF Championship and engaging in significant feuds with Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart. While The Undertaker continued to be a mainstay, adapting his dark persona to a changing landscape, and had notable rivalries with the likes of Yokozuna and Mankind. And don't get me wrong, these feuds had to be good, because during this time, WWF faced significant competition from WCW, which was gaining popularity under the leadership of Eric Bischoff, as WCW Monday Night Nitro, which debuted in 1995, directly challenged Monday Night Raw, leading to the infamous Monday Night Wars.
And then we'd like to, kick his butt.
WCW's aggressive talent acquisition included former WWF stars like Hulk Hogan, Randy Savage, and eventually Kevin Nash and Scott Hall forming the NWO, intensified the rivalry and pushed WWF to innovate, as WCW clearly had the cool factor on its side, which led to the second scare for WWF in the 90s, as they were losing the rating awards for nearly 52 weeks. And WWF needed to do something dramatic to change things around if they wanted to stay in business. But Vince McMahon was smart, and he did have a plan during this period. He just needed time to execute it and push the boundaries upon what was allowed to be aired on TV at the time, as the turning point in this war seemed to be the focus on adult-oriented themes within the company.
Generation X invades WCW tonight!
Mick Foley is going to win their world title.
Ethically, did I have a problem with doing that? Of course not. It's business.
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass.
I mean, we're just doing whatever we want.
And as mentioned, the 90s was seen as the time of innovation, as the King of the Ring pay-per-view in 1993 highlighted the company's shift towards showcasing in-ring talent and new stars. The ladder match at WrestleMania 10 in 1994 set a new standard for match creativity. The era also saw the rise of unique characters such as Goldust, whose androgynous persona pushed boundaries, and the birth of Steve Austin's Stone Cold persona after his King of the Ring victory in 1996, where he famously coined the phrase Austin 316, birthed a new star. So it's safe to say that the new generation era laid the groundwork for WWF's resurgence in the late 1990s. Despite the challenges of the steroid scandal and the fierce competition from WCW, WWF's focus on younger talent and innovative storytelling helped it survive a difficult period. This era paved the way for the Attitude Era, where the stars like Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock, Triple H would propel WWF to a new height of popularity, which brings us to what most fans regards to the best time in WWF. The Attitude Era in WWF, spanning from 1997 to 2002, is widely regarded as one of the most transformative and popular periods of professional wrestling history. This era was marked by the significant shift from WWF's creative direction, driven by the need to adapt and compete with WCW during the Monday Night Wars and rejuvenate the company's product. So after a segment on Raw where we were shown Stone Cold throwing The Rock's IC title into the river, the world got to see Vince McMahon usher in a new period for the company.
In the WWF, think that you, the audience, are quite frankly tired of having your intelligence insulted. We also think that you're tired of the same old simplistic theory of good guys versus bad guys. Surely the era of the superhero who urged you to say your prayers and take your vitamins is definitely passé. Therefore, we've embarked upon a far more innovative and contemporary creative campaign that is far more invigorating and extemporaneous than ever before.
And the change was certainly needed in the mid-1990s as we saw WWF struggling with declining ratings and stale storylines. In addition to this, WCW's creation of the New World Order storyline significantly bolstered its ratings and appeal, and simply put, you couldn't get away from the NWO's popularity. It was grim for WWF and Vince.
The NWO became the most popular thing in sports entertainment, the anti-heroes that everybody was craving in that era.
Here's the NWO!
Ready or not, here we come!
They were so hot. They kind of like redefined wrestling.
In response to these challenges, WWF embraced a new, edgier direction. The Attitude Era began to take shape as WWF focused on mature and controversial content to appeal to a broader audience. Key figures emerged, defining the era with their charismatic and rebellious personas, one of them being Stone Cold Steve Austin, who became an anti-hero of this period. With his defiant attitude and ongoing feud with WWF chairman, it's safe to say it was loved by fans. Austin's resistance against McMahon became a central storyline, symbolizing a rebellion against authority.
How about your foot? Like that?
As for Shawn Michaels, previously a top star during the new generation, continued to be a major figure, but eventually was sidelined due to injuries and personal issues within the company. Meanwhile, The Rock, with his electrifying promos and skills, rose to prominence, engaging in notable rivalries with Austin, Triple H, and Mankind. Meanwhile, Triple H and D-Generation X, which included Shawn Michaels, Road Dogg, Billy Gunn, and X-Pac, brought a brash and disrespectful attitude that challenged authority and pushed boundaries. Along with segments such as addressing the network, was pure TV gold.
Now then, as it pertains to video, we promise there will be less dick references.
Oh, shit.
Watch your fucking mouth.
Well, fuck me.
God damn it.
As for The Undertaker, he continued to evolve his character with a darker and more complex storyline, which included a feud with Kane that still made people to this day believe they're actually brothers. And then he became the leader of the Ministry of Darkness, which later became somewhat of a mess with the corporate ministry. While Mankind, also known as Mick Foley, became known for his hardcore matches and unique persona by putting his life on the line for everyone's entertainment. His match with The Rock in an I Quit match has some of the most brutal chair shots audiences have ever seen. In addition to that, his matches with Triple H honestly helped the game get over as a true contender for the WWE title. However, I would be a fool if I didn't mention the infamous Montreal Screwjob at Survivor Series 1997, where Bret Hart was controversially defeated by Shawn Michaels. This directly led to the creation of the villainous McMahon character that we all love to hate. But there were several other key moments, like the Hell in a Cell match between The Undertaker and Mankind at King of the Ring 1998, where Mankind was thrown off the cell, which remains one of the most iconic moments in wrestling history. And because of everything mentioned above, the intense competition between WWF and WCW finally began to go in the favor of Vince after Mike Tyson was included in the storyline for WrestleMania 14's main event match between Stone Cold Steve Austin and Shawn Michaels. It helped the company regain its footing and eventually win the rating wars, and with the pendulum finally swinging, wrestlers' movements between the two companies started happening with talents like Chris Jericho, Eddie Guerrero, Chris Benoit leaving WCW for WWF. To cap it off, the Attitude Era was marked by a surge in WWF's popularity, leading to record high ratings, increased pay-per-view buys, and widespread mainstream attention. And the cherry on top during this era was that we got to see Stone Cold and The Rock's immense rivalry, as the two superstars will go on to share 3 WrestleManias together. From the catchphrases to the iconic finishes, everyone wanted to replicate these two, whether it was in the playground or in the backyard. This era made WWF a cultural phenomenon. So the success of the Attitude Era laid the foundation for the continued dominance and the company's eventual transformation into a global entertainment powerhouse. But as they say, the good times don't last forever, and a new challenge was on the horizon, but not from another company, more so by some new faces. The Ruthless Aggression Era, spanning from 2002 to 2008, marked a significant transitional period in WWE. So it was characterized by the emergence of new stars, the evolution of the product, and the departure of the old guard. This era sought to maintain the company's momentum, but to do so, the Ruthless Aggression Era began in the aftermath of the Monday Night Wars, and WWE acquisition of WCW in 2001 meant a new vision for the company.
Imagine that.
Me, Vince McMahon. Imagine that. Here I am on WCW television. How can that happen? Well, there's only one way. You see, it was just a matter of time before I, Vince McMahon, bought my competition. That's right. I own WCW. So therefore, in its final broadcast tonight on TNT, I have the opportunity to address you, the WCW fans.
So with the competition eliminated and the invasion storyline in the past, WWE aimed to refresh its products and introduce new talents to the forefront. And this was thrust upon WWE because of the departure of key Attitude Era figures such as Stone Cold Steve Austin due to injury and creative differences, and The Rock, who transitioned into a part-time role but eventually to Hollywood, created a vacuum that needed to be filled with new superstars. So in 2002, Vince McMahon introduced the term Ruthless Aggression in a promo, challenging the roster to step up and seize the opportunity. And this call to action led to the rise of several new stars, most notably John Cena.
What is the one quality that you possess that makes you think that you can walk out here and come into the ring and face the very best in the business? Ruthless aggression.
So as mentioned, John Cena debuted that year, quickly making an impact with his Dr. Orthogonomics persona and later becoming the face of WWE after 2005. Meanwhile, Brock Lesnar also debuted in 2002, immediately dominating the scene with his unparalleled athleticism and quickly captured the WWE Championship. But in addition to all of this was the emergence of the SmackDown 6. This was a group that included Kurt Angle, Chris Benoit, Eddie Guerrero, Edge, Rey Mysterio and Chavo Guerrero. Their matches were critically acclaimed with their technical prowess and storytelling, significantly elevating the quality of SmackDown's product. As each man's chemistry was similar, it meant that they were able to put on stellar matches. Some noteworthy ones are Edge vs Eddie Guerrero in a no disqualification match in 2002, and Edge and Rey Mysterio vs Los Guerreros in a tag team #1 contenders match in 2003. And considering that SmackDown was always seen as the B show to Monday Night Raw, Kurt Angle said it best in an interview: each man had a point to prove when it came to their performance.
You know, the SmackDown 6 was a special group, and you know, at the time SmackDown was always the second show. Raw was always the flagship show, and it got to the point that nobody wanted to be on SmackDown. So we all got together, you know, the six of us, and we said, listen, we need to change the around here. We gotta make this the #1 show. And that's what we did. You know, we had incredible matches. The cool thing about SmackDown compared to Raw was more of a storyline-driven show. SmackDown was more action, more wrestling. And that's what we took pride in. That's when the SmackDown 6 came in.
What also happened during this period is that WWE also had a developmental territory, Ohio Valley Wrestling, OVW. It played a crucial role in nurturing the future stars during this era. Alongside John Cena and Brock Lesnar, OVW produced talents like Randy Orton and Dave Batista, and these two's careers were noteworthy to say the least. Randy Orton, who was initially part of the Evolution faction with Triple H, was then dubbed the Legend Killer as he became known for his cocky persona and feuds with veterans, while Dave Batista emerged as a powerhouse, eventually main eventing WrestleMania 21 against Triple H. So it's safe to say that WWE was not short on talent during this time, but it's the feuds that defined the Ruthless Aggression Era. The rivalry between Brock Lesnar and Kurt Angle is an example of this, as it showcased their amateur wrestling backgrounds and culminated in a classic match at WrestleMania 19. As for John Cena's feuds, it included significant matches with JBL, Chris Jericho and Edge, solidifying his status as a top star. Meanwhile, the feud between Triple H and Shawn Michaels reignited their past conflicts and produced several memorable matches, including their epic encounter at SummerSlam 2002 and the first ever Elimination Chamber match at Survivor Series 2002. And it has to be said, Eddie Guerrero's journey to become the WWE champion was a highlight of this era. His emotional victory over Brock Lesnar at No Way Out in 2004 and subsequent defense against Kurt Angle at WrestleMania 20 were defining moments in his career. But that's not all. His lie, cheat, steal gimmick took off as he would embrace his cultural background and roll up to pay-per-views and SmackDown in a lowrider and use underhanded tactics to win, which the crowd loved. I would argue that this period of time probably had some of the best matches in WWE's history. Who could forget the Iron Man match between Lesnar and Kurt Angle on SmackDown, and another being Mick Foley versus Edge in a hardcore match at Mania 22. And finally, Shawn Michaels versus Kurt Angle at WrestleMania 21, with both of them giving legendary promos.
I'm just a sexy Kurt. Sexy Kurt. I'll make your ankle hurt. I'm just a sexy Kurt.
The Ruthless Aggression Era successful transition to focus on developing new talent paid off, ensuring the company continued its success in a post-Attitude Era landscape. So, 3 eras in, it seems like WWE couldn't make a wrong move, but the constant need to grow meant that WWE had to take 3 steps back to take 2 forward. And this is where many fans believe that WWE became too kid-friendly as we entered The PG era of WWE, spanning from 2008 to 2013, marked a significant shift in the company's approach to content and storytelling. This period saw WWE transition into a more family-friendly product, in stark contrast to the edgy and mature themes of the previous Attitude and Ruthless Aggression eras. The decision to adopt a PG rating was driven by multiple factors, including the desire to attract a broader audience, secure more lucrative sponsorships, and expand WWE's appeal to younger viewers. So the transition officially began mid-2008 when WWE announced that all of its programming would be rated PG. And at the forefront of all of this was John Cena, who remained a central figure during this era. As he solidified his status as the face of WWE, his clean-cut heroic persona was well suited to the family-friendly approach. So Cena's feuds with the likes of Randy Orton, CM Punk and The Rock were among the most notable during this era. But the rivalry between Cena and Orton, which had roots in the Ruthless Aggression era, continued to captivate audiences with their battles for the WWE Championship. But as time went on, it almost felt like these two were in an endless loop as they were constantly in the main event. So notably for the audience, fatigue was kicking in.
Anytime I can get in there with Randy's great. He and I fit together well, and we work together well, and I love working with him. This is the 4th premium live event, as we now call them. And we had done a lot of stipulations before, and we'd added tons of stipulations to this match of anything goes, and if I lose, I leave Raw. One could speculate that possible audience fatigue of watching performers together for half a year. That's a lot of interaction. That's a lot.
And it seemed like both audiences and wrestlers weren't happy with this decision, as one thing that Vince and WWE did correctly in the Attitude and Ruthless Aggression era was pushing newer talent. But this frustration of not promoting other superstars and keeping a ceiling over their head is how the whole wrestling world got a reality check on an episode of Raw. CM Punk emerged as a key figure, particularly with his pipe bomb promo in 2011, which blurred the lines between reality and storyline.
No matter how many times I prove it, I'm not on your lovely little collector cups. I'm not on the cover of the program. I'm barely promoted. I don't get to be in movies. I'm certainly not on any crappy show on the USA Network. I'm not on the poster of WrestleMania. I'm not in the signature that's produced at the start of the show.
That being said, Punk's feud with John Cena culminated in a memorable match at Money in the Bank in 2011, where Punk won the WWE Championship and left the company in storyline with the title, creating a buzz among fans. And this storyline was a breath of fresh air, as it was the rare instance of edgy content in an otherwise toned-down PG era. But this seemed to be the turning point as mainstream media picked up the story as it was garnering a lot of press. This somewhat directly led to Daniel Bryan's gaining popularity with his yes chants and underdog persona. Because prior to Punk's outburst, he was seen as an upper mid-card player even though he was a former world champion.
Bryan's having fun.
However, Bryan would eventually win the World Heavyweight Championship at WrestleMania 30 in 2014, although his rise did begin in the latter parts of the PG era. Additionally, during this time, several wrestlers rose up the ranks, such as Sheamus, The Miz, Alberto Del Rio.
Who the fuck is that guy? Who the fuck is that?
as they all became prominent figures, each holding major championships, with Alberto winning the first ever 40-man Royal Rumble. Like I mentioned, the PG era received mixed reaction from the fans. While the cleaner, family-friendly product helped WWE attract a broader audience and secure sponsorships, for some long-term fans, they missed the edgier content of previous eras. Critics argued that the PG rating led to a more sanitized and predictable product, lacking the excitement of the unpredictability of the Attitude and Ruthless Aggression Era. For me, I would say Cena says it best when reflecting on this time period of WWE.
I feel as if I've ruined it for all good guys moving forward because I was the first divisible bad guy, but that's how the product has changed. It's not black and white anymore. It's a very gray area, and I think it's because our audience is so vast. We have people like you and me who love the product. Our sense of humor is different than a 6-year-old. But we also have a ton of 6-year-olds. Our content is made for them. PG. We have to play by those rules. Yeah. So you and I would be upset about the presentation of some of that content because that's not us. But that is us because we're watching the show. And it makes for these moments that are so memorable. The face-off between CM Punk and I, or The Rock and me, or The Rock and Hogan, or any of these moments where it's just the performers and mayhem. And that's special.
So despite the wide criticism, the PG era did have its share of successes, as WWE's businesses flourished with strong merchandising sales, successful pay-per-view events, and high television ratings. What also helped during this time was the introduction of the WWE Network in 2014. Although technically outside of the PG era, the groundwork was laid during this period. It revolutionized how fans consumed WWE content, offering a vast library of past events and exclusive new programming. In addition to all of that, WrestleMania continued to be a major spectacle, with the events like WrestleMania 28 featuring the once-in-a-lifetime match between John Cena and The Rock, which drew significant mainstream attention and still to this day is WWE's #1 best-selling pay-per-view. And we can't forget Jeff Hardy, a fan favorite, getting a big push and finally winning the WWE Championship.
Look at this. Look at this. It's perfect.
We also had big moments such as the departure of long-term stars and the rise of new talents characterized this era's transition. The retirement of Shawn Michaels in 2010 and Ric Flair the year before, alongside the part-time status of The Undertaker and Triple H, marked the end of an era. Meanwhile, the influx of talent from WWE's developmental system, Florida Championship Wrestling, FCW, which later became NXT, began to make an impact with the Nexus storyline. Although that SummerSlam loss in 2010 was a major misstep. In summary, despite the mixed reaction from long-term fans, key figures like John Cena, Triple H, Randy Orton, and CM Punk defined the era, while the rise of new stars ensured WWE continued success. As this is the time period we as the audience were introduced into a little-known faction in 2012 called The Shield, who will go on to dominate our screens for the coming years. The reality era of WWE on the official website says it spanned from 2014 to 2016, and Daniel Bryan emerged as a central figure at the beginning of this time. His journey to becoming the World Heavyweight Champion at WrestleMania 30 in 2014 was driven by an overwhelming fan support, emphasized by this era's fan-driven narrative. So Daniel Bryan's victory over Triple H, Randy Orton, and Batista in a single night showcased the power of the WWE universe influencing a storyline. But as mentioned, The Shield, consisting of Dean Ambrose, Seth Rollins, and Roman Reigns, also played a pivotal role. The group's dominance and eventual breakup led to significant careers for each member. For Seth Rollins, his betrayal when he smashed the chair against Roman's back, and subsequent rise as the architect as he won the WWE World Heavyweight Championship was a major storyline, culminating in a dramatic cash-in of the Money in the Bank contract at WrestleMania 31, while Roman Reigns' push to become the next top star with his blue eyes was met with mixed reaction from the fans, as WWE fans took issue with Reigns over various reasons. His perceived special treatment, real-life demeanor, wrestling moveset, promo skills, and character presentation were not up to par. But what held this time back the most was the reign of the authority, which felt like a pain at the time, but looking back at it, it brought some hugely enjoyable moments, such as Dolph Ziggler's epic comeback at Survivor Series alongside Sting making his debut within WWE. Unfortunately, during this time, not every popular name was capitalized on. Wrestlers like Rusev, Sheamus and Wade Barrett fell into this category, as bad booking crept its way in, making it not entirely perfect. However, the women's revolution gained significant momentum during this period. WWE began focusing on more women's wrestling, moving away from the Divas era and rebranding the division with more emphasis on athleticism and storytelling. Key figures included Charlotte Flair, Sasha Banks, Becky Lynch and Bayley, who brought their talents from NXT to the main roster and delivered high caliber matches. The reality era was relatively short, lasting only about 2 years, due to WWE's rapid evolution and constant need to adapt to changing audience preferences. In addition to that, them trying to establish new stars, since the face of the company, John Cena's appearances, were becoming less and less frequent, which brings us to the new era of WWE, continuing in 2016 and continuing to the present, has been marked by significant changes, innovations and resurgence in popularity. This period has seen WWE adapt to modern viewing habits and navigate through unprecedented challenges like the pandemic and elevate new stars, most notably Roman Reigns, to unforeseen levels of success and acclaim. The new era began with a renowned focus on in-ring talent and compelling storytelling, as WWE aimed to blend the best elements of its storied past with its audiences. This began with the reintroduction of the brand split in 2016, separating Raw and SmackDown into 2 distinct rosters with exclusive storylines and championships. This was a key strategy in revitalizing the interest and providing more opportunities for talent, most notably Roman Reigns, as he became the central figure of the new era, evolving from the polarizing character to the undisputed top star in professional wrestling. Initially facing mixed reaction from fans, Reigns' character transformation in 2020 into the tribal chief under the guidance of Paul Heyman was a masterstroke. Embracing his Samoan heritage and taking on a dominant heel persona, Reigns' feud with the likes of Jey Uso, Drew McIntyre and Brock Lesnar have been critically acclaimed, cementing him as the best thing in wrestling today.
I'm the tribal chief around here. Yeah, you see me, the tribal chief. That's right.
And the Bloodline storyline will take it one step further, as The Rock would make a surprise takeover of WWE and insert himself into the main event of WrestleMania 40. Tossing Cody Rhodes' 2-year-long story aside was genius from the Great One, as it divided the fan base from the Cody crybabies to the fans of the final boss. In addition to that, this feud brought back fans from the Attitude Era to the current product, as WWE pushed the line upon what they could get away with on TV, and a major highlight was the beatdown that The Rock gave Cody as he busted him open.
You should cry. You should cry, boy. Look at that blood. Now, look at this blood. Yes, yes. What? Show is over and then it stops? Fuck that. Your script? Fuck that. God. This is what happens, boy, when you fuck with the final. Come in here, cameraman.
And this era did leaps and bounds for women's wrestling, as the women's evolution continued to gain momentum, with female superstars headlining major events. WrestleMania 35 in 2019 featured the first ever women's main event with Becky Lynch, Ronda Rousey and Charlotte Flair. And the rise of stars like Asuka and Bianca Belair has further elevated women's wrestling to new heights. This era was also the time WWE began hosting shows in Saudi Arabia in 2018 as part of a long-term partnership with the Saudi General Sports Authority. The first major event, being the Greatest Royal Rumble, took place on April 27, 2018 in Jihad, and despite the initial hate for the show, fans seem to have come around and started enjoying them, despite some of the matches they put on, as they are just bizarre, such as Shawn Michaels coming out of retirement with Triple H to verse the Brothers of Destruction, and who can forget Undertaker vs Goldberg, where the former WCW man concussed himself within the first minute, leading to a disaster of a match. That being said, WWE has also embraced technological advancements and changes in content consumption habits, as the WWE network evolved into a comprehensive streaming service offering live events, original programming, and a vast library of past content. Also in 2021, WWE entered a new partnership with Peacock, further expanding its reach, which is great for the company considering the pandemic posed unprecedented challenges, forcing WWE to adapt quickly. With live audiences unable to attend events, WWE introduced introduced the Thunderdome in August of 2020. This allowed fans to attend events virtually. This intervention, along with the strict health protocols and pre-recorded shows, enabled WWE to continue producing content throughout the pandemic, which meant that WWE's popularity has reached new heights in this new era. Major events like WrestleMania, SummerSlam, and Royal Rumble continue to draw massive audiences both live and via streaming. And that's not all. During this time, the company's ability to create compelling storylines, introduce fresh talents, and use social media has played a crucial role in its resurgence. So as the company's business has flourished with lucrative television deals and global expansion with their Netflix deal and a growing presence on social media platforms, WWE's ability to adapt and innovate has ensured its continued success and relevance in an ever-evolving entertainment landscape. The new era has been characterized by the blend of tradition and innovation, with WWE maintaining its core appeal while embracing new technologies and storytelling methods. The elevation of Roman Reigns, the continued rise of women's wrestling, and the company's resilience during the pandemic have defined this period. The new era stands as a testament of WWE's ability to evolve and thrive in an ever-changing industry, setting the stage for future success. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. What is your favorite era? And if you liked the video, make sure to click like and subscribe for more.